Thank you. Welcome to the Planning Committee of Sandwich Town Council at this November meeting. So, item 1, apologies for absence received.
Apologies, Chair, from Councillor Morehouse, has a work commitment.
Okay, thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest. To receive any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda.
Chairman, the first application 23-001-268, I'm a resident of St George's Road, but not
neighbouring.
nearby.
No.
It's about 60 yards away.
Thank you for that, though, Captain. Okay, item 3, minutes of the Planning Committee. To approve the minutes of the Planning Committee held on the 8th of November 2023 and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere on this agenda. Attachment 1.
Yeah, I'm happy to recommend adoption of the minutes as being correct.
Can we second that? I think it can. All in favour of adopt the minutes? Okay, thank you. Item 4, public participation. A 20-minute session is set aside for members of the public to make representations at the meeting in respect to the business on the agenda. Individual representation should not exceed 5 minutes. Written notice of the desire to exercise the right to speak, together with the topic to be addressed, must be given to the town clerk by 9 prior to the day of the meeting. So,
Yes, we have a request from Jean House.
Would you like to stand up or am I
no,
okay?
it's all right, I think.
Okay. Tonight I want to address the issue of the CCT giving out binoculars to tower visitors. A friend spoke to me about this and was upset because it impedes on the privacy of the houses around the church. Also, they believed a meeting had taken place in which the CCT agreed not to allow telescopic devices. And one resident apparently moved precisely because the tower had been opened up. I decided, without speaking to anyone, to inquire of residents whether it was a problem. However, after I had approached just 4 people, Carol George told me there were some nasty posts on Facebook and asked if I was the one speaking to residents. Then a councillor and town team member apparently contacted the CCT, told them it was nothing to do with them, and made them remove the posts. Councillor Marie, however, took a different approach. This councillor posted that he would support the CCT if the matter was raised at the town team. He is supposed to be the town team representative for STC, but made no attempt to contact any of us about it. He also showed a flagrant disregard for the residents he is also supposed to represent and didn't ask any of them how they felt. Furthermore, this councillor, who is a member of the Planning Committee, was supporting the CCT in a breach of their planning application, which is obviously unacceptable behaviour for any councillor. The restriction explicitly states that there must be no telescopic devices used on the tower. In view of this and other things I have raised previously, I am again calling for Councillor Marie to resign. If he does not, I would propose that STC removes him from this committee, as he is clearly unsuitable for the role. Finally, I understand that I am entitled to a response from Councillor Marie, so I've specifically put 4 questions. How does he justify supporting the CCT in a breach of their planning application? Why did he not ask residents how they felt? Why did he not speak to myself or another member of the town team? Will he resign, and if not, why not?
Okay, thank you. Okay.
When am I entitled to a response, please? What are the rules?
Well, I think it's Councillor Marie.
Yeah, I'll take that outside the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Item 5, volunteer tree warden report update. Town clerk to share an update on the reports received from the volunteer tree warden in relation to planning matters debated at the planning committee.
Thank you very much, Chair. So I know that when I first started here as interim, it was a bit hit and miss for a little while with the process that was dealing with the volunteer tree warden. But I think we've now got a process in place, and I hope that everybody's on board and we're all behind it. So this is just to consider and note the process for receiving and taking into account the reports from the volunteer tree warden. The reports are considered by the planning committee, detailed below in my report. And if there are any comments or feedback from this report, I would welcome that. The agenda for the planning committee each month is shared when available with the volunteer tree warden, who is a co-opted member of the committee, who does respond with a report if applicable to an agenda item. The volunteer tree warden shares her report with the town clerk and committee, and then the town clerk shares this with the co-optees prior to the planning committee meeting in the future, because I know that hasn't happened last month, so I apologise for that. At the relevant committee meeting, the town clerk will communicate any reports from the volunteer tree warden to the committee for consideration when a specific agenda item is debated. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I'm afraid I have to leave. Sorry.
Okay. Item 6, planning applications. Application plans and papers can be viewed via the Dover District Council website. So planning application reference number 23/01268, proposal, erection of a single storey side extension, door canopy to front, 3 front dormer windows to facilitate a loft conversion and roof light to rear garage to be demolished. Location 29 St George's Road, Sandwich City 139LF. It's the corner one, isn't it?
Sorry, I've had a look at this building, and it strikes me that it's not a building of great architectural merit. And because it's on a corner and the Roman Catholic Church is opposite it, I don't think these changes will affect the neighbours, who presumably haven't objected to the proposal. So I would be in favour of recommending the acceptance of this planning application.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, I would second what Councillor Fortescue said. The only issues I had was, obviously you could see from the drawings, because I went round there as well, it's going to be a lot larger than it was before with this extension and where the garage is, and it's going to increase, so it's going to have an extra bedroom. So the only concern I had was, of course, parking, because although it's got a bit of a driveway, you're taking away the garage, which is, I'm always very suspect about taking away parking from any properties in Sandwich, because the parking is paramount. So that was the only thing I was worried about, was the parking. So I think you could possibly get 2 cars on the drive.
I think they will be, but yeah.
Hopefully it won't cause too much trouble, because it's right on, that's a very, very dangerous bend there. So
A lot of them properties have been extended, haven't they?
They have.
Massively. So
yeah,
So
they
I
have,
think in keeping council.
Yeah, I agree with both those comments. It is a rather scrappy, unattractive bungalow
Yeah.
presently, which I think would be improved by these plans. I think there are, I go past it every day, so I think there are yellow lines around the corner.
Yeah.
But who abides by that?
90% of garages in this country are not occupied by cars anyway, so I see this as an improvement.
Yeah, it's only a classic one, huh? All in favour? Look, those in a second, we're all in favour of this application? Yeah, I think so. Thank you. Planning application reference number 23/01333. Proposal, alteration to include an accessible slope, new steps, retaining walls and landscaping for main entrance, creation of new external graded access into orangery, flat roof for orangery with plant equipment on roof, installation of dormer window and replacement of existing skylights, heat pumps within existing bunded area, location Manwood Range, Sandwich Road, Sunshine.
Yeah, I would like to, actually I found it's quite strange, it's not a listed building, this building, so, but yeah, I'd like to propose that we recommend this building. It is to set up this new 6th form for the school,
Yeah.
and we should be supporting education That's one of the most important things in society now, is supporting the education. It had prior planning permission given anyway,
yeah.
2020 I think it was,
Yeah.
so it's been passed already. They're putting in these ramps to make it DDA compliant, even Councillor Morehouse,
Yeah,
so that's okay. And the heat pumps, which
good, isn't it?
are all good things, so I can't see any issue there. With regards to the VTW had put in a report to say about trees and hedges, but I couldn't see from the planning application, I couldn't see how that affected the trees or the hedge, because there's the orangery roof, and then there's the heat pumps and all the internal works and things. I couldn't see where it was going to affect the trees or the hedges at all, so I don't know. So
Was she not saying that they put on the planning application that there were no trees on the site?
I think she's
I think, yeah,
Regarding these tree things, it seems to be like being kind, perhaps omission errors, or otherwise deliberately trying to mislead the planning people. When the planning application and the walnut thing's another one where it just struck me that she's made the same comment on both of these.
yeah.
It's a bit like our friendly retrospective planning commission thing, isn't it? Anyway,
Yeah. So,
but
but
I
yeah,
couldn't really see it, that the trees were anywhere near this development. So.
no, I can. Interesting.
Councillor Wells.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is obviously a big investment in education. It's a good, attractive scheme. My only comment from trying to understand the plans is it appears the orangery, which had a roof light, is being replaced with a flat roof, which is, as this is in a conservation area, I wasn't sure if that should be objected to. I mean, it's not really visible from the
You can't
from
see
the
it
road.
from the road.
But just as a matter of principle, should we oppose flat roofs in the conservation area?
Generally do, don't they? Generally do. But they're putting plant equipment on the roof, aren't they?
Well, that's the
That's why
important
they've
thing.
turned it into and I think it's at the end of the building,
It is,
you don't see it from the road.
No, you don't see it from the road at all. So no.
And it's right, it wasn't originally the conservation, but they've extended the conservation area, didn't they, a few years ago.
Yeah.
But
Also, on that point, Mr. Chairman, I think the thing is, because at the moment it's got what's called a lantern on there, but I mean, that wouldn't be conducive to the use set, wouldn't it, to...
it's still a flat roof, isn't it?
Yeah.
Flat roof with a lantern.
I think if it was prominent, or you could see it, you know, by walking by, then we should object, but...
Yeah, I think it's already a flat roof to the with a lantern on top.
Yeah.
I think we should just let this one go. It's a brand new roof going on, isn't it? There's a flat roof.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But the lantern makes it not a flat roof.
no, it doesn't. But
That's
otherwise it's
correct, yeah.
I've no strong objections.
All right.
Yes, fine, particularly as the building is not very visible from the road.
Take away the instant.
Yes.
Okay, so you're proposing it?
So that's a proposal for the mayor to support.
The support.
Yeah.
Yeah, recommend approval.
For second it?
Yes, I'll
Second. All in favour of this proposal? I think that's a no.
Thank you.
Okay. Planning application reference number 23/01244. Proposal T1 Walnut, reduced by 2 to 3 metres, location 55 Alice Gardens, Sandwich, CT30 0GQ. Well, I had a look at this today, and I think it's because it was part of the original building development, these trees should be left. And I don't think it's anywhere near the houses, it's just on near the boundary, it's all I'm mistaken. But I think it is, I think it's just leave it as it's the ones.
My only comment was this has to be the worst plan I've ever seen on a planning application. It was appalling.
It's very poorly presented, yeah.
The drawing, in Councillor Wells is alluding to the drawing.
Yeah,
Just
no,
underline
It's
the-
completely hopeless.
But yeah, I think, sorry Mr Chair, I was going to say the same actually, because I'm sort of very dubious about this. This is close to where I live, and the problem is they're all new houses, and you know, it's a bit of an estate, and the problem was with this estate, as with all developments, and I say this, hopefully our councillor, DDC councillors listening, but there was supposed to be tree planting and hedge planting for this development, and I've walked through the estate on several occasions, and many of the trees that were planted as a part of the planning application have either withered and died or not been maintained. And as I say, I mean, I can't see a problem actually with this tree myself, yeah. So I wouldn't recommend that it is, you know, if it was affecting any property or something like that, then, but it looks too distant myself, so I would prefer to keep it. Walnuts are very rare, aren't they?
It's a mature one like that.
Exactly, yeah. I wouldn't want it to die for some sort of regular maintenance.
And there's, like I say, the plan's very amateur in it as well.
It was very poor.
We recommend refusal.
I would, oh yes, I can.
Strongly object.
Strongly object.
Yeah.
Strongly object, yeah.
I think we obey that meeting, I think. Right. Yeah, thank you. Planning application reference number 23/01/319. Proposal change of use and conversion of park ground floor into 3 residential flats with associated works. Location 21 Market Street, Sandwich, CT 13 9DA. That's all well done.
Yeah, so the local plan, which is currently being examined by the government inspector, proposes a policy of refusing the conversion of retail into residential within the primary shopping area, which this is. My memory of this property, it is shown on the plan as an ex-bank, not surveyed, on the right-hand side. My memory of going in there when it was retail is that there was retail on both sides, at the front, and they're only proposing to retain retail on the left-hand side, and I think both sides should be retained as retail, otherwise it starts to destroy the unity of the shopping area. So that would be my objection to this.
Oh yeah, well, I did consider that, because usually the town council is trying to maintain as much as possible the commercial district area, but I did see with this, as Councillor Wiles said, they are retaining some of the retail, and also I don't know how many councillors actually read through all the documents, but it said that they'd undertaken a marketing policy for 3 years, and for 3 years they, apart from the antique people that they had there for a very short period of time, these commercial premises have been empty for 3 years. Well, the other thing I wanted to say was, and I know this from talking to a large number of people, residents in the town, is there is a massive lack of smaller 1-2 bedroomed flats and accommodation, and unfortunately that is the sort of properties we need. There's a lot of people, a lot of developers building 4 or 5 bedroomed, 3 bathroom executive homes, but we do need properties for the people who are just starting off in life. So I would actually recommend accepting this as long as one of the retail spaces is retained. So that's my proposal, Chair.
Yes, thank you. I agree with Mr Mayor, I'm afraid, on this one, although I'm very dead against commercial properties being turned into residential. The bank side, the old NatWest, has been closed for 7 years, and it's not been used for 7 years. But the other side has been, and I think on the plans it has that side that was originally used 3 years ago as a business is still being retained. It's the right hand side that's being trying to be turned into flats. But so if that's a proposal from the Mayor, I'll second it.
Yeah, I support what Councillor Carter said. I also understand what Councillor Wiles is saying. It's a difficult one because it was never a retail property, it was a bank. There's an issue with disabled access as well, which doesn't make it conducive to the kind of retail outlet that we would perhaps want. It's going to be very difficult, I think, to attract any retail into there. And I think for the reasons that Councillor Carter's given on regarding turning this into
residential dwellings. In this instance, perhaps the policy that we've had of refusing former commercial premises being converted into residential does fall short in some ways, because it was a commercial premises, yes, but it wasn't a retail premises.
Thank you.
Well, I think that if there isn't a demand for the use of this building as a retail outlet, then it would be unfair to require that both sides of the building should be used for retail. I think the facade of the building is very important because the building occupies such a prominent position in Market Street. So I noticed that the windows are due to be changed. I think it's very important that the new windows should replicate the design of the old windows. And I have one very small point, namely I think that the number 21 should be prominent somewhere at the entrance of the building. I noticed that a number of the buildings in Market Street don't have numbers, and presumably that could cause a problem for all sorts of people.
Councillor Hall, did you?
Yeah, I'll come back on that because I think my memory is going in there. It was furniture and lino and wallpaper on the left hand side.
Yeah.
But there was also some kind of retail operation on the right hand side as well. Even if that's not the case, a bank is a retail unit. I mean, a bank sells things. The old Lloyds Bank is now a retail unit. The old one King Street is now a solicitor's, but it's still a retail unit. So I think my view is that we need to retain as many retail units as possible. The place opposite next to Spa has been, as we all know, turned into residential, so it destroys the vibrancy and the unity of the shopping area if you start losing more and more retail units. As for marketing, you always hear this from owners, oh, we've marketed it. Where? I've never seen any evidence of these places being marketed. I know lots of people who are looking for retail space in Sandwich and they can never find out how properties are marketed, who owns them. There's a complete lack of openness about the commercial
The price
market in Sandwich. It's all very under the table. So whenever someone says, oh, we marketed it for 2 years, 5 years, I simply don't believe them. I don't think they've made any attempt to market it. I think it's all complete balderdash.
It's like National Venture Bank, it's a restaurant now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well there's one other factor to consider, and this is a very, very important one, is that building. I've actually been in that building earlier this summer, and that building, the ground floor of it is starting to deteriorate. There's water ingress and there's all sorts of problems. If you saw the plans at the back, there's like very old toilets and the office space is all deteriorating. If we don't actually get people to redevelop or maintain these older buildings, they will just deteriorate and we'll end up with another, the Limes. If we don't make it possible for these people who own these very large buildings to be able to get some sort of income to maintain them, then we're just going to end up with a lot of properties, empty properties, that are deteriorating. So that's why I gave my proposal. I don't want any less commercial in the conservation area, but if you've been in that building, like a lot of buildings that are left empty for 3 years, that's been left empty and it's starting to deteriorate.
That's not a planning consideration.
No, it's not, but
Yeah, I totally agree and support Councillor Carter's.
You're second,
Yeah, 100%. That west side has been empty for 6-7 years now. It's been empty since they left, and that's the worst part. The other part was an interior design, but they went 3 years ago. They're now, I don't know where they are now, but they're somewhere quite local. But in the plans, they're still keeping the smaller part of the retail. It's just the big part of the old NatWest that's being redeveloped, and I said I second Councillor Carter.
So should we just vote then?
just one other aspect is the aspect that Councillor Morehouse has said, and this will back up what Councillor Fortescue has said. how can you make the retail units DDA compliant with that, with the steps, very large
Yeah, we'll
steps.
go to the vote now,
Yeah.
Councillor.
That's the same as most retail
Yeah.
units. You
It's
think of
sandwich
the
upstairs.
Lloyd, the old Lloyd's Bank is not.
Yeah.
disabled access.
So we've got a proposal and a second. Who's in favour of this development then? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's
Six.
fine.
Six.
Against.
One against it.
Okay. I think this one is a conservation one, isn't it? It's the same property, isn't it? So, we've really discussed all this, so, do you propose that we,
I would like to propose the same as we did for 01319. I would like to propose the same for 01320.
you put
Mr.
second?
Second that, yeah.
All in favour of this for the conservation? I think it's carried as well, okay.
One against.
One against.
And one against. Planning application reference number 23/01345, proposal erection of a single storey rear extension, 2 roof lights to front and rear dormers windows to facilitate a lock conversion, 65 Dover Road, Sandwich, CT 130PX. Councillor?
Yeah, this looks like a very good scheme. I think it's well designed, it's in keeping with the area. It will increase the size of the property, so I would welcome it and support it.
I'd like to second that. It's going to turn this into a family property. They're very small, they're just round the corner from where I live. They are very small properties, so this will, the internal layout and the extension will be good. And none of the alterations will be seen from the roadside at all. So although they're Victorian properties, terraced houses, all the alterations will be on the rear of the property. So I'd second that recommendation.
Several properties in that row of houses have done similar work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, got a proposal and a second there. We vote on it, strongly approve it, I think, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yes.
Julie's gonna lead you a bit.
Okay, so planning decisions. To receive and note the latest decisions taken by Dover District Council on new planning applications. And hopefully you've got the part of the agenda that shows you the list of the codes.
Much helpful.
Thank you. Okay, 23/01006, Wayfarers St Bart's Road, Sandwich, CT 130AW. Erection of 2 metre fencing to create a private space for the associated 7 units. So this application has been withdrawn. Then 23/01127, 15 Birch Avenue in Sandwich. Certificate of lawfulness for the erection of detached summer house on hard standing, and that is CLPG. Certificate proposed granted, yeah. 23/01039, which is 39 Strand Street in Sandwich. This is the ground floor. Replace staircase, insert partitions, new opening. Replace 2 doors, alterations to fireplace, hearth. The first floor, remove and insert new partitions. Replace 2 doors and infill door opening. Alter staircase, balustrade. The second floor, insert partitions, alter staircase, balustrades, and insert bedroom door access. And that one is GLBC, which is grant listed building consent. And then the last one is 23/01155, Royal St George's Golf Club, Guildford Road, Sandwich Bay, Sandwich. Erection of a temporary portable building for a period of 12 months, and that's been granted.
I have a query to raise, Mr. Chairman, and I'm glad Councillor Morehouse is here. 23/01006 Wayfarers St Bart's Road. We've now been told, I had communication from the planning officer at DDC, so that they didn't need planning permission for this very ugly 2 metre high fencing that's going in an area where there's no other fencing allowed, particularly to do with St Bart's almshouses and the chapel there, which I mean are such a historic gem in Sandwich. And I just wanted to raise the issue that although the application is withdrawn, the developers apparently are at liberty to go ahead with the fencing. And this is bulk standard concrete post, concrete stone pebble plinth fencing. I would implore that Sandwich Town Council and the Dover District Councillor do something about this, because it's just there isn't any other fencing like this in that area. All the places, Hazelwood Meadow, St Bart's Road and Birch Avenue, none of them have got 2 metre high concrete post fencing. It's totally out of keeping with the area, and because it's so close to St Bart's Chapel, it just shouldn't be allowed on a conservation ticket. It's just totally wrong. I'd like something done about this to get this sorted out.
So this is allowed under permitted development.
Yeah.
I've written to the officer has responded, the officer agrees that it's incongruous, but under permitted development they can't do anything about it. I would recommend that perhaps they should consider another type of fencing, but that would have to be made as a direct plea with the developer themselves, not via the council, because the council are powerless to do anything about it.
Yes.
With regard the street scene, as it were, the first 8 houses in St Bart's Road have all got very low, and there is one house that I can think of that has, I think it's about 3 metre high fencing. 1 metre, 1 to 1.5 metre high fencing, and that's one single property, and that is the first of the 1940s houses as you're walking up towards Birch Avenue, etc.
Yeah, I think it's just unfortunate. It doesn't legally can do it, because if it's not going through appeals, it's going to cost.
No, with regard to permitted development, I mean, I've been in a position where I've known that I was putting in for permitted development and it's been refused. Permitted development, to my mind, very simply is the planning application is may I, permitted development is do you object? Simple as that. So there can be an objection. Permitted development does not mean you just go and barge through and do it.
Do you think we should still write to the
Yes, so my proposal, Mr Chairman, is that Sandwich Town Council sends a letter to, obviously we don't know we do know the name of the developers, but obviously we'll have to write via Dover District Council Planning, but we should put a letter forward saying we're not objecting to them putting the fencing up because of the reason behind the fencing. We know that it's to provide privacy for the inhabitants, but could we negotiate on the right type of fencing there? And it should be something that should be of a natural hue and not concrete posts and fences, because obviously the developers are going for the cheapest that they can get, but the developers are from Northamptonshire. You know, they don't know that the town of Sandwich is an ancient historic site, and they need to be told that. So Sandwich Town Council's got a duty to protect its heritage, and I'm saying a letter should go via Dover District Council to the developers, imploring them to put other fencing in.
I think they've done this because they know what the clients that are going to be using the building. We don't know what the actual clients are going to be, so we've got to be like Councillor Wiles.
Yeah, I mean, this comes back to the questions I've been asking of our county councillor repeatedly about who is this company that's taking over this property? What's their remit? What's their background? Are they a private limited company? Are they a charity? What are they going to be charging? All these questions which have been unanswered. So what we seem to have is a developer that's just doing what the hell they like, without any concern for the town or the aesthetics or anything.
Just finally, I just wanted to ask.
There was one. I'm assuming that this fencing is being erected, is it for privacy or is it for
Security.
That's what,
security?
no, it said
So
privacy.
if it's for security, it's the wrong type of fencing anyway.
Yeah.
That type of fencing isn't particularly secure when it's on a main road. It works in back gardens, yes, but not when it's
But it
facing
might
the
make
road.
their residents feel more secure, that's what I was thinking. I'm not quite sure of it. Okay.
Oh, sorry, Mr Chairman, but the other factor that this council needs to know about, I don't know if Councillor Morehouse has had any update on this, was the VTW had actually said to this council about the treatment of the existing trees on that site. And I know Councillor Morehouse had asked that some sort of protection order be put in about the trees. Has anything come up about that? Because those trees need protecting on that site. They're mature trees, and the VTW had said something should be done about that. Well, what's happening? There should be some sort of enforcement.
But when we raised the initial objection to this, we were accused of being against the development.
Yes.
And that's not the case.
Yeah, I've read the plan application in detail before it was removed. It doesn't say whether the fencing is either for security or for privacy. But as a father of a child that has autism, the fencing, yes, I agree, it is very ugly, as the mayor has said, but it's their safe haven. That's their bubble, as it were. It's their refuge. I mean, Mr. Chair, you know my daughter quite well,
Yeah,
so you know how
I
she
do know
can
about
be.
this because my daughter works in the
Yeah.
special school.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I do agree that the fencing is needed there and their privacy is needed there to keep them within their bubble to make them feel safe. However, the fencing is a bit of a ugly.
Yeah.
eyesore. And that's just what we're saying, Mr Chairman. We're saying to the developers,
A better type of fence.
we're quite happy for the inhabitants to have privacy and security, but could we specify better quality fencing that fits in with the area that this development is in, please? That's all we're asking for.
Right, let's do it.
So I've already proposed it.
Yeah, I think we're all in favour, aren't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I think we're-
Yeah. Thank you.
Need to note the report, don't we? Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
Yes.
Number 8.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's not mine, was
Sorry.
it?
Okay, thank you. Street furniture applications. To receive and consider any applications made to EDC in relation to street furniture consent application under the Local Government Provisions Act 1982. Please note none to consider at the time of issuing this agenda. Licensing. To consider any licensing notices and issues received from Dover District Council. Please note none to consider at the time of issuing this agenda. Section 10, enforcement. To consider any enforcement notices and issues received from Dover District Council. Please note none to consider at the time of issuing this agenda.
Sorry, can I just question regarding the enforcement side of things? One if the district council may be asked. Obviously, we've had the rejection now for Whitefriars Meadow. Is the enforcement action starting to take place regarding the disgusting Harris fencing that's around the site at the moment?
Councillor Morehouse? What about the security fencing on the Whitefriars? The planning application.
I understand that Councillor Schuker has probably got more information on this than I have because he's been in contact with the officers at EDC.
Thank you.
Oh, just had to add that apparently a Dover District Council officer had attended the site because they weren't aware of the fencing that was there, and apparently they are now reviewing an enforcement notice to be issued, but one hasn't been issued up to now.
Okay.
Just to answer Councillor Marie, but an officer has attended the site and some action is taking place now on the
Councillor Wise?
Yeah, Councillor Zuka's sent an email to local residents, town clerk and some councillors about the communications he's had with DDC planning, asking them to go and visit and to do something about the terrace fencing and really to try and get the site tidied up.
I'm not privy to those emails, so I don't know what's been said, so hence why I asked. As chair of planning, you should be.
Okay.
Thank you, and I'm happy to communicate any updates I receive to all members.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
11, correspondence. To receive and consider correspondence relating to planning matters, including notifications of appeals against refusal of planning applications. Please note none to consider at the time of issuing this agenda. So that takes us to number 12, verbal update from our Dover District Councillor on matters relating to planning.
As I wasn't able to attend the local planning meeting because of work commitments, I understand Councillor Wiles is working on behalf of Sandwich Town Council, so I'd invite Councillor Wiles to give an update on that.
Yes, I attended the meeting 2-3 weeks ago. So I spoke on behalf of Town Council, Sandwich Town Council, really to represent views that we'd already submitted and to interject as and when appropriate. The inspectors, there were 2 inspectors, and it's within the council chamber, and the inspector really just goes through each site in turn, asking for comments and any supporting evidence or for and against each site. So the developers were there, councillors were there, the residents were there, the Green Party was represented. So we went through each of the sandwich sites. Obviously some are quite controversial, like Archers Low, SAP 21 on Dover Road. Others are less controversial, and hopefully the inspector took away our concerns about those. I'm going again tomorrow because it's the retail section of the local plan, and I will be speaking up for our view that the primary, as we said earlier, the primary shopping centre area should be retained for retail wherever possible, and we should not allow any further loss of retail to residential within that area.
Thank you, Councillor Wiles.
Thank you. So that's the end of the agenda, number 13.
Yeah. Oh, that might be now. Item 30, date of next planning committee meeting, 10th of the 1st, 2024.
That should
You meant me to be 23.
Game
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for attending.